Yeah, it was. It's been more tough, the mental side of it, than the physical, in the sense that I literally thought I was going insane.
Mm.
And it was only like my best mate is a veteran, and he basically went, "Beck, you've got textbook PTSD." But I literally thought I was going insane because no one told me that you'd get flashbacks, you wouldn't sleep.
Mm.
Um, like I went back to work and I wasn't sleeping, and I was doing my training for my job, so I was working in the NHS 5 days a week training, and wouldn't sleep for 3 4 days at a time. And he was like, "You need to like sort this shit out. This is textbook PTSD.
Mm.
Go see someone." And it took me literally about 2 years to actually go to a doctor because I thought I just wasn't coping. That I
Yeah.
thought it was something about me. And I went to, went to our doctor, and they literally went to me, "About fucking time that you came in. Like, we've had the whole family have come in to see me, and you've
Yeah.
not. Like, you're 2 years into this." And he's like, "Right, I'm going to read this list. Tell me yes or no." And he's like, "Right, I've got a list of 30 things. There's only one thing you didn't answer yes to. Yeah, we can sort that out." Like, it's not you. It's a completely natural response to what you've been through.
Mm.
And I found since then, it is still a very much a taboo topic of mental health. And the more we talk about it, the less taboo it becomes, and the
Mm.
more normalized
Yeah.
for anyone who goes through a trauma, not just because it is associated with the forces. So I literally thought, I've not been through a trauma that my mates have been through. It's not the same, but like the root of it is, it's still a trauma that pretty much most people will go through something at some time which will affect them.
And I think as well, like
Mm.
trauma, it's quite subjective, isn't it? Like I think you kind of highlight something crucial that you thought, oh, this is not enough. What I've been through is not as bad as someone
Yeah.
else. So this is, it can't be mental health, it can't be PTSD. And I think, as I just said, that it's subjective. Trauma for everyone could be
Exactly
completely
that.
different.
Trauma is
For some,
subjective to the
someone it
person
could,
and
for someone it
and
could
their
be a minor thing,
experiences
but
of
for
it at
someone
the end of
else
the
that could
day.
be
You
catastrophic
know,
for their
you
mental
don't
health.
have
So
to have, you ain't got to be as worse off as this person who may have, lost a mate, or, or lost a limb, in warfare, as opposed to something that's currently happened to you. It's like, it's no like, oh well, it's not as bad as them, so I can't have PTSD. It's not the
Mm.
case. It's a completely subjective experience. You know,
how would
yeah.
you say you're coping now then? Like, if you don't mind me asking, like, how would you say, like, in your...
Generally really
That's
good,
good.
but like at the moment.
At the vote.
um,
Right at this moment, right now, talk to us. Oh God, hopefully not. Oh dear.
I know it was last week, but it sort of has a bit of a lasting effect. Um,
Yeah.
there was a fluke incident in work that um, so we deliver like boxes of drips to the
Hmm.
wards,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like your fluids. Like they have like trolley dolly things that you wheel
Yeah.
that the ward. Someone over pumped a tire, and it was left by itself, and it exploded. The tire popped,
Oh God.
Mm.
but it was like behind me, and no one could tell me what the noise was, and it mimicked
Oh wow.
like the
Yeah.
metallic sound. And I just went, "I'm not okay. I need to go home now." Like,
Yeah.
and sort of
Yeah.
then I'm coming out of it, but it just knocks you for six for a bit.
Just one day at a time, Becca.
Mm.
Yep.
One day at a time.
Because I've been following you for quite a while, and I've seen you've been. I said you've been quite open with it, so I've seen you've been progressing quite well in terms of like the mental health stuff. Well, you got any advice maybe to anyone, anyone maybe someone knows someone who's been through trauma, anyone who potentially has been through trauma about dealing with mental health? Because I feel like it's a stuff that, as I said at the start, people look at the physical stuff of it, of a trauma, but they
Mm.
never really think about the mental stuff, which can be more long lasting and even more damaging. Even if in your case you said it was worse. I mean, what advice would you have? Would you say?
That it's not just you, because you very much feel like you're the only one going through that, but it's guaranteed you're not. There will be people who are going through very similar or the same thing as you are, and there are um, like resources and charities that can help.
Hmm.
And it is really difficult, but it's even just trying to open up to a friend or someone you don't know. So it's like, I think the first person I told I wasn't okay was some randomer in work, like on one of the wards. I went, "You're not your usual self today, are you?" And I went, "I'm not okay." Like, and it's okay to say that.
It's that stigma, isn't it? You mentioned earlier. I think we're going better though. Like if you, there's such a drive at the moment, I've noticed over like various platforms like social media, even like high levels of government and stuff. They're trying to push more into it. So I think it is good.
Do you know what? I want to go ahead and say, like, I think people are getting more better in relation to destigmatizing mental health, but I think it can be a difficult situation because there are certain workplaces that, you know, put an emphasis on mental health, etc. But realistically, it's one of those things where at the end of the day, you know full well that if you was to actually bring your mental health to, you know, to light and be open with it, actually your job can penalise you, even if they don't want to see it as being penalised for, you know, your current mental health situation. And I got my discharge papers from the army about 2 weeks ago now, so I feel open enough to say that I personally believe that with the army, even though they do place a big deal on mental health in the media, they generally don't give a fuck. And I can openly say that because, let's be honest, there's a lot of lads that are suffering in the armed forces, but they feel they can't come forward because once they do come forward, they get penalised for it. They can't be deployed, you know, they get stigmatised from their mates. You know, the army almost wants to kind of just brush it under the carpet. So I think in regards to people coming together, it's better, and particularly in a fitness setting.
Yeah.
So I find like CrossFit or strong gyms, etc., it's like a fucking band of brothers, you know. And let's be honest, there's plenty of us out there that pick up heavy things and put it back down again just to make the sad voices in the head go away. And that is fucking cool when it comes to fitness, you know, like a band of brothers and sisters. But when it comes to certain jobs, I do believe that this a big poster of mental health in like a staff room or in a barracks, etc., is just to cover the paperwork of, yep, we're doing our part, that's it.
Ticking the box, isn't it?
Yeah. Obviously, I've gone a bit of a tangent there, but I feel like I can be 100% honest when it comes to particularly the armed forces now. Yeah.
I think it's true. I think there's loads of stuff like there's loads of other topics as well I can talk about. There's companies now, they're seeing these buzzwords and they're just using it to like make themselves look better.
I have clients whose role in their jobs have been downgraded simply because they've come forward and said, look, I'm currently having anxiety, or, you know, my mental health's not in the best place at the moment, you know, I'm suffering. And instead of actually helping them, they've just downgraded them, you know, and ostracised them from their colleagues.
I think it goes back to us earlier about, you know, the subjectiveness of it all. Like if you were to go to an employer and you say what's triggered you or what's giving you this anxiety, if they're an arsehole, they might not look at it from there. So they might go, "Is that it? Is that all it is?"
Oh,
well, that's
man
not
up.
bad. But it's like, well, no, because it's subjective. How someone affects you is how it affects you. No one can tell you otherwise. You know, everything's going to affect you differently.
100%,
but you do get these people 100%. In certain industries who are, and maybe in the army it's more of an alpha male culture, perhaps, I don't know, but you get people with certain mindsets where you approach them. They say, "Oh, my door's always open for a chat. My door's open for a chat." You go and have a chat. Next thing you know, yeah, great. You've been penalised, brilliant. Yeah. Maybe not consciously penalised or like directly penalised, but indirectly, like you said, Tom. If you don't get deployed in the army, for example, they can't deploy you, but that is indirectly affecting you. It's going to make you probably worse. People are going to look at you differently,
and particularly in the armed forces. That's why I think a lot of blokes, you know, and you know, and females as well, don't want to come forward because it's just not worth the fucking hassle. That's how I think they might feel, you know. But it's one of those things where, no, you have every right to fucking come forward. And actually, even if the people above you don't give a fuck, I guarantee you, you know, your fucking brothers and your sisters will.
Was there anyone you turn to, like an organisation, or is there anyone you'd recommend? Like, there's anything out there you'd recommend as a really good place to go to for anyone maybe potentially listening who's maybe going through something that we spoke about, but they've been afraid to reach out? Is there anyone you recommend?
I think for general mental health, Mind have been very good.
I've heard that, yeah.
Because it's the resources that they offer, they're quite simple. So that quite often, if you go if you say in work, I'm struggling with my mental health, they refer you to Ocky Health. Then you have to talk to a psychologist, and it's like you're firing information at me which is like up here, and I need you to give me simple, easy, digestible information of how I can sort of work through this.
Yeah, things you can take away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Mind have been very good, and then there's most organisations now as well have mental health first aiders who can signpost you as well to resources, to helplines or anything that you may need. And then there's a couple of specific organisations that have started coming out the woodworks, dependent on the specific situation you're in. So it's like in the past couple of years, I've started working with an amputee specific charity. So they've sort of amputees from every walk of life, however they've acquired a missing limb. You can talk freely, and they've done like low level mental health awareness courses that you can go on yourself to sort of understand some of the things that go on. Then it sort of gives you your own resources, and there's loads of courses like that, and a lot of community programs are coming out as well.
There's a lot of resources out there. I think people just, I want to go back to a point you made right at the start when we started this mental health segment, is that you're not alone, and that people always, I don't know what it is, but we always think that whatever we're experiencing, we're the only person in the world who's experiencing it. When in reality, most stuff that people go through as a society, jokes aside, is that we are pretty much all similar. We all pretty much go through the same stuff in some way or another. It might be like the exact same, but there's always going to be a lot of similarities to what we go through.
Particularly in the past 2 years.
Oh yeah, God,
where, a lot of us have went through a very fucking traumatic period during COVID. Where we was isolated from each other. Yeah.